Brett, let me ask, is this based on the Ritz-Carlton concept where so if a guest has a problem, whoever they tell the problem to is empowered with money to solve that problem for the guest, even if it's the maid in the hall?
Yeah. So the Ritz-Carlton is also one of those case studies for the service profit chain. So if you give your employees that empowerment, permission, the tools, the technology they need to delight the customers,
right.
If you have customers that are being delighted all the time, then you have happy customers. And happy customers do two things that business owners should love. They buy more from you, and they tell their friends how amazing you are. And it is so much more fun to work in a business with happy customers and happy employees.
Welcome to the Get Business Savvy podcast. I'm George Black, and this is AJ Bishop. I'd like to welcome Bret Piatt to the Get Business Savvy podcast. Bret began his entrepreneur journey with the purchase of Jungle Disk 8 years ago. Now he's the CEO of Cyber Fortress. His data security background began at AT&T and then on to Rackspace. Later, he would become a director in corporate development and then lead SaaS businesses at Rackspace.
Thanks, George. Good intro. My professional entrepreneurship journey definitely started when I bought the business. But my entrepreneurship journey really started way back, mowing lawns and doing all sorts of things when I was young.
So we're celebrating Entrepreneur Month this November by talking to entrepreneurs about how they got business savvy. And Bret, you've already given us a clue. So let's go there. What caused you to become an entrepreneur? Because you were this tech executive for years.
Yeah. So on the corporate side of things, when you're working for a large company, you get opportunities to learn a ton. I think it's a very valuable thing if you can spend a portion of your career in organizations that have scale and have figured out not only how to survive, but to thrive in the economy around the world. For my personal journey, I've always had some entrepreneurial knack and wanted some more control over my time and my schedule. When you're an entrepreneur, you may think, well, I'm not going to have control over anything. My company is going to consume my life. Right. But you really do have more control than you do when you're working as an employee or an executive in a large company. And you may get a call in the evening. Your boss might need something for a presentation tomorrow morning. As an entrepreneur, you got a little bit more opportunity to control and plan things if you can map your entrepreneurship journey out. And that was one of the big things that led me to this next phase of my career where we set up Porthcall Holdings and bought a business.
Bret, you hit on a lot of the business side of things in that and how you can take control of your schedule, but also touching on how you can learn in a corporate environment. I was wondering from the entrepreneurial side of things, what's your passion for the business you're in with Porthcall Holdings and Cyber Fortress, and how did you find a way to monetize that?
So Porthcall, the goal there, we saw some opportunity in the software world where tech investors love investing and buying growth companies. And in the value investing world, everyone ran away from technology businesses because they're like, tech, I don't understand it. So we believe that there's opportunities for businesses to both be in the technology industry and like just be a good fundamental business. If you took the category off of the income statement and you looked at that income statement, you would look at it and go, man, that's a business I'm interested in owning. And so as you get specifically into the first purchase we had at Porthcall and kind of where it was in the market, it's a backup and secure storage business. And these are things that are kind of timeless. So it doesn't matter whether the economy is good or the economy is bad. Everybody that's got important digital records inside their business needs a safe second copy. So having that safe second copy of data is just something that you need to do as an individual and need to do as a business. And so that's what led us into this. But it's not a super fancy, fast growing area of the technology world. Data backup, everyone starts to get their pillow out when I start to talk about it. I'm seeing it a little bit on both y'all's face right now.
Yeah, it's riveting.
Yes.
Right. It's just, I'm on the edge of my seat. Tell me more about backup. Yeah. So is you started with Jungle Disk and then you've expanded with the addition of more companies to fill out the Cyber Fortress. find yourself today, like in leadership, or how do you like to lead? I'm just curious because this has been an evolving story.
Yeah, I mean, so I think in the data backup market, the disaster recovery as a service market, there's thousands of companies out there. So it's one where some folks have tried to consolidate the market before and kind of get some economies of scale and be able to provide services maybe that a smaller regional player can't. There's some folks in the market doing it alongside us right now. And then, so we merged Jungle Disk with Live Vault, Keep It Safe, Offsite Data Sync, Vault Logics, a whole bunch of other businesses all in one big merger a couple of years ago, and then rebranded that as Cyber Fortress in 2022. And having an opportunity to have maybe a larger business is one to impact more people's lives. So I'm a believer on the management style in a framework called the service profit chain. First heard about it at Rackspace, was one where Lanham Napier, who's our CEO at the time, also a big believer in this. And so basically the key of it is you empower employees to make amazing outcomes for customers. And you go talk to your employees and you ask them, George, like, is there anything in your job, tools, technology that is preventing you from having an amazing day, creating amazing outcomes for our customers? And if you can get all those things out of the way, and then you give your employees permission to create amazing outcomes, and you hire people with good judgment, then you have happy, engaged employees. Because I don't think anybody gets up in the morning and goes and looks in the mirror, and they're putting their shirt on and brushing their teeth, and they look in the mirror and they go, man, I am super excited to make my customers satisfied at work today. I just am going to go do work that makes people very satisfied. I think people generally want to do great work and have the opportunity to do great work. And there's just many companies that are designed where employees are limited to only doing work good enough to make the customer very satisfied. And that's not what we want to do. So if you hire good people, good judgment, give them permission and give them the tools and technology to delight customers, then you have high employee engagement. So I mean, in the US right now, employee engagement is maybe at 25%. It's terrible.
Yeah.
We're way above that internally. Because again, we give folks opportunity to do as one of our core values. We do meaningful work with people they love to work with.
Bret, let me ask: is this based on the Ritz-Carlton concept, where so if a guest has a problem, whoever they tell the problem to is empowered with money to solve that problem for the guest, even if it's the maid in the hall?
Yeah. So the Ritz-Carlton is also one of those case studies for the service profit chain.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So
I remember that from Rackspace. So
you hit your nail on the head there, or just from all your time staying at the Ritz.
Yeah.
One of the two.
No, it's not. Yeah, I've never had the pleasure of that experience.
Yeah. So So coming out of that, so if you give your employees that empowerment, permission, the tools, the technology they need to delight the customers. Right. If you have customers that are being delighted all the time, then you have happy customers. And happy customers do two things that business owners should love. They buy more from you, and they tell their friends how amazing you are. I mean, like, when's the last time either of you finished up an experience with another company where that company's goal was to make you very satisfied? And then you went to lunch or you went out for drinks after work with one of your friends, and you're like, man, I had this experience today where I got to talk to company X, and company X just made me very satisfied. You're never going to bring that up. You won't be a promoter. But all of us have told stories where you've had this experience where you interacted with another company, a product, a service, and you were completely delighted by it. We do tell those stories. And so if they're going to buy more from you and they're going to tell their friends how amazing you are, then that makes for great customer lifetime value, lowers your customer acquisition cost, does lots of wonderful things. And you get to do this in a business where your customers are happy. And your employees are happy. And it is so much more fun to work in a business with happy customers and happy employees than it is to write some contract term or do something in some scorecard metric to keep people frustrated, challenged, but like they have to keep buying from you. I mean, I want happy, engaged employees, and I want delighted customers. And that just then makes it fun to come to work every day.
I am really, really struck by delighted customers. I'm racking my brain to try to think of the last time a company delighted me. And I'm going back to the late 1800s to try to think of, I mean, it's never happened.
Yeah. And we're selling data backup, George. So think how hard it is
I know,
to
exactly.
somebody selling them data backup.
It's fair. It'd be like saying the electric company is delightful to deal with.
Yeah.
So AJ, what do you want to know in this?
So I'm wondering, as you're telling how you have satisfied employees and you have satisfied customers, as a leader, that doesn't just happen on its own. And just by empowering people, they have to kind of know what they're working towards. And those customers really buy into what they're buying. So one of the things we've talked about on this podcast a little bit is story. Do you use story or narrative at all to tie those two things together and, make this ship run as smoothly as you have?
Yeah. Well, so, I mean, I think, there's a bunch of different things you've got to do to get to that simple outcome. And so I guess for your listeners or viewers, if they're looking at this face made for radio here on YouTube, check out like service profit chain research done by a team at Harvard Business School. So look that one up, read about that. But there's a whole series of things that you do to implement the service profit chain and to measure across all the different areas of there's a nice flow chart, but that'll map it all out. But there's a lot of things that go into that. And then there's different employee engagement tools and frameworks. Gallup does a good job with the Q12. It's a set of 12 questions that help you figure out kind of through the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Do your employees just have the basic things they need to do to get their job done? Do they know what their job is? So like if they don't have the tool, if they don't know what their job is, they can't know that if they have the tools. So the Q12 is a good way to figure out if your employees are set up for success or not.
So this is the Get Business Savvy podcast. And with Business Savvy, in fact, in last week's episode, I talk about there's two ways to get business savvy. One is in the School of Hard Knocks, and the other is associating learning from experienced entrepreneurs and applying their experience and trying to avoid the hard knocks, learn from their hard knocks. Bret, you've certainly reached a place where, you've got things working and all of that. I'm suspicious that you've had some hard knocks along the way.
For sure.
How have you acquired business savvy as an entrepreneur?
I think it goes all the way back to being a kid trying to figure out. So like our neighborhood, and when I was in elementary school, there wasn't a good landscaping company in the neighborhood. So trying to figure out, like, do I take my money, my savings, buy a lawnmower and an edger, and then can I go get all the houses up and down the block to buy from me? So like, got to take a little risk there up front, got to make a capital expense, got to buy some stuff and go. So, it goes all the way back to that. And then, wow. Got so you can only, like, whatever, it takes you 30 minutes to mow a yard and edge a yard in a kind of standard home neighborhood. If I got all the houses on the block, I can't actually do all the work by myself. So then I got my first experience in trying to figure out how do I convince some friends to come along and either mow or edge, one of the two. And so, you found out learning there about reliable employees and unreliable employees. Some of my friends were more reliable than others. Some of them did better work than others. So like, it's kind of, for me, it goes all the way back to there of starting to learn some of the School of Hard Knocks.
Right.
Boils down to, for me, making it clear that the person knows what good looks like. They know what the expectations are. They know what that delightful outcome looks like for the customer. The other person has to tell that back to you. If they can't tell the story and they can't say the same description of the level of what that outcome looks like, it's not in their head. So then when they're doing their job on a day-to-day basis, they don't have that crystal clear picture. And so as an entrepreneur, it's not only getting the crystal clear picture, but it's communicating it over and over and over until everybody across the organization has that crystal clear picture. And this is a picture of what that delightful outcome looks like. If you've got core values, you can't just come up with them and put them on a wall somewhere. If none of your employees know what your core values are, they might live them by accident, but they certainly aren't going to consciously be trying to exhibit those behaviors.
You said a minute ago, like working in other corporations, other businesses was good experience. I'm now wondering, as you're saying what you're saying now, that we're in the inside, like as a leader inside a larger corporation, were you seeing the corporations them experiencing hard knocks, learning from their experience, going like, oh, I'm not doing that. Was that helpful? Was it helpful in that way? I'm wondering.
Yeah, I mean, I saw all sorts of, because inside of a large organization, all sorts of things. There's the full bell curve. You can experience great managers with well-run teams doing things exceptionally, all the way down to the other end of the bell curve. So inside the big company, I mean, I got to see all sorts of things. Like one big project we took on. So this is just one of these ones. So I had in a data center. If you're familiar with them, I'll just for the audience here, I know they might not all be familiar with a data center, but picture a kind of a storage locker that is like 8 feet tall, and there's a rows of them, and that's how we store the computing equipment and communications equipment inside of data centers. So there was a row of about 20 of these, and then there were 3 rows there. So you've got kind of 60 of these big cabinets full of equipment that is decades old, And so the company is paying for all of the electricity, all of the maintenance contracts and all this old stuff, just all the complexity of having to log in and manage that devices. So this is, and that equipment was originally millions of dollars. Technology, it makes things smaller and faster and easier all the time. We were able to buy 2 devices that fill up a quarter of one cabinet. So instead of 60 cabinets now, we've got equipment, 2 devices that are, by the way, we did them redundantly. So the rest of all that wasn't even redundant. So there's 2 devices filling up about a quarter of one cabinet. Wow. And then we were able to simplify all of that down to those 2 devices. So instead of having a team of 15 or 20 people managing all of that equipment, we had one person that could take care of those 2 devices part-time. And so this is like one of those ones where sometimes you get to spend a little money to then make a business simpler. And if you can make something simpler, then it frees up capacity to take on new things, to do new things. It's always easy to make a business more complicated. It is, every time I find an opportunity to make things simpler and easier, I am all over that because those things do not come by. And if you don't make things simpler, then man, it is hard to operate a business. It is hard. It just makes everything hard. And that's where then businesses give up on delighting people. And they're like, it is so hard. We're just going to shoot for very satisfied. Like I give up on delight. I don't think we can ever get there. If you can make things simple and set expectations clearly for your employees and your customers, then you have opportunities to delight people.
Yep.
And what you just hit on there is like doing less with less. People always think first to add more rather than to take away from things first. And I'm wondering, as you kind of transition from the corporate space into as an entrepreneur, was there ever a big bruise that you got as you were trying to do something for the first time? You didn't know what you were doing, and it ended up in a bad experience where you missed one of those little details. Maybe you tried to make something too complicated.
I think one thing on the complexity versus simplicity. So this is one. It's kind of I will do it like a little 3-dimensional skills box. So for George knows quite a bit about finance. So for George, looking at income statements, balance sheet, cash flow statements, pretty simple, not that hard. For your average employee, though, across a company, man, that is super complicated. So complexity also varies on a per task and per employee basis. Just because something is simple for you doesn't mean it's simple for all your employees.
Right.
And just because something is complicated for you doesn't mean it's complicated for all your employees.
I'm sensing from like the business you're in, your resume, data security, the backup, all that stuff, that's a passion. The tech part's a passion. And where I'm going with that is, and you can elaborate on that a little bit, but what I'm really wondering is what's your passion today and how much time do you really get to spend in it? Is it leading? Is it doing the tech stuff?
Yeah. So I guess as you think about this, so yeah, always been interested in technology. This goes back to being a kid too. On the technology side of things, yeah, I started playing around with computer programming back in elementary school.
Wow.
Was playing video games on computers, and it was like, man, I'm not going to go kill this orc 600 times so I can save up enough gold to buy the sword. I'm like, I know I can kill the orc 600 times. I know my character's not going to die. I would rather, instead of spending 10 hours killing this orc, how do I just go edit the file to hit the fast forward button? And so then I got kind of curious at that point of like, what are all the things you can do with technology? And like, that's video game security in a way. Like maybe they should have written the save game file in a way where you can't just go edit your gold field. But it's going through that. So yeah, I mean, I went to college to do computer science stuff, and yeah, I enjoy all of the technology piece greatly. And so I do still enjoy having conversations with customers about what pain do they have around protecting their data. And then I work today in a visionary leadership role for the company, but then also helping us with our product portfolio and product roadmap. I don't write code very often, but I do tinker around with things. So it's definitely a passion. And I would say, like, if you're going to be entrepreneurial, pick something that you enjoy to be entrepreneurial at, not just something you can make money. And the reason being is if you enjoy that industry and that set of activities, you're going to read news about it in the evening. You're going to, like, if in my world, I'm going to pick up Wired magazine and see what's going on. The second piece, though, it's not just become entrepreneurial in something you have a passion about, because some of those things aren't valuable to the world. So I suggest sitting down and doing a Venn diagram exercise of things I'm passionate about, things I'm good at, because you can be passionate and you can also not be good at it. And then the third one on that Venn diagram is things the world values. If you can find something you're passionate about, you're good at, and the world values, then there's a business opportunity. And some people might go, you know what? Well, like back to lawn mowing. Like if you're really passionate about it, you're really good at it, people value having a nice yard. And you're like, well, but there's already 1,000 companies in my city that mow lawns. Like, how am I going to go do that? Well, I will guarantee you that all of your competitors aren't doing that Venn diagram, and some of them might just be doing it because it was the only thing they knew how to do, might be doing something because it was just there. But if you really are passionate about it, you're good at it, and the world values it, you're going to become one of the top people in your industry. And if you're one of the top businesses in any industry, you're going to be profitable, and you're going to make a great life for yourself, your employees, and you're going to enjoy what you're doing. There is not an industry out there where the top player in the industry is miserable and losing money.
Yeah, so first of all, let me just say that's some great business savvy experience that you've just shared. So I've got two thoughts. One is, and on that, this is an interesting statistic. So on YouTube, there's like millions and millions of creators, right? But less than 10,000 creators have over 10,000 subscribers. In other words, it's not saturated at all. I mean, we're talking global. We're talking.
Oh yeah, it's a massive power law curve. Yeah,
it looks like it's saturated. And what you're saying is, it looks like there's 1,000 lawn care companies. It's not saturated.
Yeah.
There's a few that are really, really successful. But what you were saying a minute ago, where it sounds like you're leading the company, but you've engineered things so that you're keeping your fingers in the product roadmap. You're staying current with the technology, with the stuff you love.
Yes. Yeah.
And let me just ask this. So you're staying connected to what you love, keeps you alive in doing the business. Is that a fair?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a big believer as well. And spending your time on things that you're amazing at. So 2x2 matrix you can do. So on one side of the matrix, things you're bad at, you're bad at it or you're great at it. And then on the other side is something you enjoy doing or don't enjoy. And if you don't enjoy it and you're bad at it, you're not going to be doing those activities.
Right.
If you like, you'll figure out how to you'll pay somebody to do it or whatever else. If you don't enjoy it, but you're good at it. Like, these are some of the things that in a business, especially when you're starting out, you may just have to go do those. If you enjoy it and you're bad at it, these are traps for entrepreneurs. If you enjoy it and you're bad at it, you're going to do it poorly, and that's going to impact your business. You've got to go find somebody else to do those. And then if you can figure out how to spend your whole day doing the stuff that you enjoy and you're good at, and then hire people or pay another vendor or someone else to do those other 3 boxes, then you're going to enjoy coming to work every day. And if you're engaged as the business owner and you're excited to be at work, it's contagious to everybody around you. You're going to get more returns by getting even better at the things you're already good at. So
Right.
like, I'm pretty good at Excel. I can do some financial modeling. I enjoy it. I was a math nerd. So like that sort of stuff, I will get more out of working and getting better at that than I would going to learn a new skill that I don't enjoy, or even going to learn maybe something where I have no skills or it's not as valuable to the world. Spend your time on the highest value activities where you really can be the world's best, and then figure out that you enjoy, and then figure out how to delegate the activities or pay someone else to do that. Hire employees that are complementary to you.
That's huge. And just want to echo and underscore all of that, because I think doing what you love and what you enjoy and engineering life so that you can do more of that, it's going to raise your company up more than anything else, I think. So Bret, thank you so much for taking some time out and joining us in this Entrepreneur Month.
Thank you, George and AJ, for having me on today.
Guys, for more on Business Savvy, check out last week's podcast. I know you're going to love it. And in the meantime, may you live truly free.